That was well said. And like you said, when it comes to just resonating, the biggest thing is that there's always a rebuttal that you see for why the movement doesn't matter or where the flaws are.
Yeah.
So if your point is, you point out, well, black on black crime is doing this. First off, crime is crime. Whether you have, I want to say it's what 88 or 91% white on white crime, which is 2% lower than what I think black on black crime is. Crime is crime. Crime happens. There aren't very good people. Not everybody's a great person.
Yeah.
You hope they are, but crime is crime. So don't use that as a justification. But again, you're telling on yourself if that is what your first rebuttal is when you hear just people of color looking for an not even equal opportunity, as well as a benefit of the doubt when it comes from the law enforcement and the powers that be that can decide if you make it home or not, that we aren't afforded at the moment and haven't been for years. And so you have the avenue of athletes that have the ability to have this platform, and they use their platform. And like you said, it's a burden that they put on their shoulders that they shouldn't have to wear. Doc Rivers would love to be a coach, like he just said, but he has to come out and talk about racial issues that we've been talking about since the 60s. You've seen marches continue to happen. Marches apparently don't get us anywhere. So what do you do to get the attention? And this is what people have done. And I'm happy that it has riled and ruffled feathers, because things haven't worked to get attention to issues. And then people say, well, why don't you go a different route to protest or do something? People do that, doesn't get recognized. So this is what gets recognized. And then after that, you have the message always continuing to get distorted when it shouldn't be. It's plain and simple. And when I said earlier, God bless you, it's not good that from a humanitarian level, you just don't get it. But that you're right in this country to have a dissenting opinion. Fine. Do what you want to do. That's your life to live. But there's a moment right now that we're in, and it's been eating at me all day to just reiterate. We've even gone over time a little bit because this is a big moment, that if you haven't done your research to understand what people are trying to talk about, then we could go on this for about an hour. There's a socioeconomic standpoint in this that hasn't been addressed really from a major standpoint. If it does get addressed, it gets skirted over, and then that point gets lost in the fray. But you would need to look at that as well, because the motto, get it how you live, isn't a motto of just bad English. It's a motto, and it's a saying of people that are living in a circumstance that have to do what they can to achieve the status of people that they see, to put it plainly. And so,
very well said. Yeah.
And so what they do shouldn't be reflected upon them. You can pull out those that have pulled themselves out the gutter, whether that is a ball player, a rapper, or somebody of a higher status. But at the end of the day, they saw what they needed to do because they know the opportunities that, say, the man in the highest office has, or somebody that has been in a political position or a high position. You're like, I want to achieve that status, but I can't get there through an education standpoint or from a financial standpoint because it's not afforded to me, and my environment isn't conducive to allow me to make that leap. So I have to do what I have to do. And when I make it out of here, now you don't even talk about where I've made it out of. And now you've made me seem as if I came from where you came from to achieve what I did. And that's not the case for what these players are doing. And so I applaud, like Sterling said, what the Bucks have achieved and then galvanized the rest of the group. I kind of want to make a separate video as well, because there is one special person who checked the IG to the max on Instagram that needs a shout out, needs a thanks. But we are in a moment that's bigger than all of us. And I hope people that are on the other side, because they're either offended by a moniker They don't believe in it, which is because of what they've seen. If that's okay, if you've seen false information, it's all right. There's a way to steer you back on the ship. It's called Google. Use your 2 thumbs, figure it out. But we're in a moment that's historic, that Sterling pointed out, of all the teams and all the leagues that have canceled practice and made the moves that they have done. And we just need to clear the air on that one, because it's not good for what we see. And it's disheartening to see the masses of bad opinions and bad takes.
Yeah, no, well said, man. I hope, I think the great thing, or I think there's always like, I always think about this as far as like, I always thought about this like kind of growing up. I was like, I feel like we're past marching. I was wrong with that. I don't know why I kind of thought that for a long time, but I did. And I think what's cool is a lot of times you kind of just do something and like, there's no end goal, but it seems like the players, especially within the NBA, have a true end goal of working with the owners and working with the league to make sure that there are, polling places available using the arenas, that money, not just what they, the NBA, PA and I think Board of Governors, right, just confirmed like a $300 million fund to be able to initiate Black employment, Black opportunities, things like that. I think they're now trying to put pressure like, hey, like, to be honest, like, you guys are paying more money to guys off of rosters right now just so people will sit at home than you are to put into this fund every year over the next decade. Like, we need more money into here. They're putting true pressure on the owners to not be symbolic and for the NBA to not be symbolic. And I think we have to do the same thing within our everyday lives. Like, you have to press people to not be symbolic. You have to press your companies and the people that you buy from, or the companies that you buy from, things like that, to not be symbolic as well, so that we can finally get to a place where we have like true change in this country. So now, like you said, I absolutely applaud what the NBA is doing, applaud what the players are doing. Again, cannot imagine that burden or that pressure of trying to like navigate this correctly. I can't imagine that. And I think they've done such an exceptional job of doing that.
I agree. Well said. I think the last point, and we're out, is if you don't really know what to do, because I don't even know what to do. But like Sterling said, from just being at a standpoint that you don't have the platform or voice that these athletes have, or people that we have deemed quote unquote celebrities, use their retweets, use your retweet or their tweets to your power, their posts for social media to your power, so that others understand where you lie. Because people put it in their profiles as, comments are mine alone, not reflective of a company. Okay, if that's the case, then use that retweet for power. Whether if you see where somebody stands in where the line is drawn in the sand, and you can show others that, hey, this is what I'm actually about, through the power of your social media involvement. You don't maybe have to say as much if that's not your personality, but that's a way to tell people this is where I align, and change is needed. So Sterling, well said.